turned off the lights and went to bed. It was about time I finally got cracking on Toko's case. So she's adopted, huh? I highly doubted I could simply go up to her family and ask them about it. Maybe checking her family register would be a good starting point. Then again, maybe I wouldn't get the chance to see the whole thing, considering how the new Family Registration Act wasn't in full effect due to the lingering chaos following the war. Though that being said, Toko herself managed to look into it, so maybe it wouldn't be so hard after all. Regardless, I just have to wait until tomorrow to find out. For now, sleep came first.
Sate.
I rose to my feet after finishing breakfast and my post-meal coffee.
兄さん、お出かけですか？
ちょっと調べ物をしてくるよ。
では昼食は外で食べてこられますね。夕飯は作って待っておりますので。
ああ、行ってくる。
I returned to Inokashira Park after getting a copy of the Kichiki family registry from Mitaka City Hall. Reading it over, I learned that Toko was indeed adopted. However, there was no other information apart from that. While it had been almost a decade since the enactment of the new Family Registration Act, there were still plenty out there who'd yet to reconstruct their family registers, albeit not from the lack of trying. Because of that, Yasutada, the late wife of Chisato, and even Fumiya, none of whom would have normally been included under the new registry laws, were listed as well. I also learned that Chizuru Kichiki had never been married. In other words, she'd raised Toko as a single mother. But why? I wanted to ask Chizuru directly, but I knew it'd probably be a while until I could get in a viable position to do so. First, I had to force her to admit Toko was adopted, but that wasn't something I could just call her out on. So while it'd be a pain, I just have to wait for an opportune moment for the time being. I emerged from the park and arrived at Kichijoji Station. There were a lot of students around, probably because it was spring break. I even spotted a few from Oba Girls Academy. The school forbade them from visiting shopping districts, but the students probably didn't pay those rules much mind. Maybe they'd drop their guards now that they were on vacation too.
Oya, Tokisaka-san de wa arimasen ka?
Katsuragi? Turn to face that familiar voice.
Oh, Katsuragi-san deshita ka?
Yep. Oh wow, there's a familiar face. Yeah, I wonder who it could be. You definitely didn't just say Katsuragi-san. It was Shin Katsuragi. Wow, I'm blown away.
吉祥寺で会うなんて珍しいですね。
ええ、ちょっと気分転換に訪れたんですよ。今は新作の執筆中でしてね。あ、立ち話もなんですからどこかへ行きましょうか。
それでしたら近くにいい喫茶店がありますよ。
The fact that he was up for a talk with me meant there must have been something he'd been dying to ask. Probably concerning the Kasaki case if I had to guess.
ではそこへ行きましょうか。車も運転できないし、遠出するわけにもいきませんからね。
ええ、こちらです。
いらっしゃいませ。あら、時坂くん。お客さん連れとは珍しいわね。
たまにはそういうこともあるさ。奥借りるぞ。
Katsuragi and I headed over to the furthest table from the entrance. Not that our talk was confidential or anything. I just didn't want people listening in on us discussing a murder case.
静かで落ち着いたお店ですね。
単に客が少ないだけですよ。
I joked around as I called Hatsune over.
初音くん、コーヒーと。
僕は紅茶お願いします。はい、
かしこまりました。
Katsuragi finally got down to business after Hatsune left us with a bow.
それで事件の方はどうなりましたか？
ええ、おかげさまで解決しましたよ。
それは良かった。お疲れ様です。
桂木さんの作品、ネアニスの卵でしたか。
That was probably the matter Katsuragi had wanted to discuss.
そうですか。僕はそのようなつもりで。
あなたの本が犯罪のきっかけになったわけではありませんよ。ただ、口差がない新聞や週刊誌はそう書き立てるかもしれませんが。
それを恐れていては、僕らは何も書くことができなくなりますよ。
Katsuragi allowed himself a little chuckle at that.
お待たせしました。どうぞ。
Hatsune brought us our coffee and tea.
ありがとう、初音くん。
Right when I turned away to thank her, I saw an Oba Girls Academy student at the entrance. Hey, isn't that?
あ、先生がおると。
Great. Should have known she'd spot me.
珍しいな。
ゆかりんと待ち合わせしてるんだよ。こちらの方は？
Tojiko pointed at Katsuragi.
桂木慎と言います。
あ、 小説家の
Her jaw practically hit the floor.
ああ、こいつも小説を書くんですよ。よそ見やと。
つづりこだってば。
ご同輩でしたか。まだ学生さんなのに素晴らしいことです。
いえ、私なんてまだまだで。
Tojiko nervous? What, are pigs gonna fly next?
これからも頑張ってくださいね。
Tojiko bowed so quickly that I feared she'd slam her head on the table.
それでは僕はこれで。あ、ここの台は僕が持ちますよ。
いえ、そこまでしていただかなくても。
Yet despite my efforts, Katsuragi simply shook his head, grabbed the check, and took off. I watched as he departed the cafe.
なんで先生が桂木先生とお知り合いなの？
Tojiko took Katsuragi's seat and wasted no time grilling me.
仕事だよ。例の件で会いに行ったんだ。
本は読んでないけど名前はよく聞いていたからね。お前も桂木先生くらい売れてくれれば助かるのにってよく編集さんが言ってるもの。
その編集さんも大変だな。
なんでさ仲がよろしいですね。
Turned to find Yukari staying behind me.
あ、ゆかりん待たせてしまったようですね、すずり子。別に兄さんの相手などしていなくてもよかったのに。先生じゃなくて今ここに桂木慎がいたんよ。桂木慎？
Yukari blinked in confusion.
小説家だよ。
サインもらっておけばよかったな。
そのうち頼んでおいてやるよ。
If we ever cross paths again, anyway.
先生本当？それでは話もまとまったところで行きましょうか。じゃあね先生。
おう、二人とも気をつけてな。
Yukari and Tojiko left the cafe. Kyoko came over from the counter just as I was about to take a sip of my lukewarm coffee. Man just wants to drink his coffee. I was just like, oh shit, Reiji, we need to talk to you about something. I want to talk to him about something. Oh hey, Reiji, let me talk to you.
おかわりいる？
ああ、そうだな。
Well, hell yeah, okay.
ねえ時坂くん、そこの壁に空きがあるでしょ？絵を飾りたいんだけれど、どんな絵がいいかしら？
How about Girl in Shell by Shinzo Mamiya? I hear it's a good piece. Kyoko pointed at the spot in question.
間宮心臓の絵なんかどうだ？
I named the first artist that came to mind.
間宮心臓？ダメダメ、すごく高いのよ。
そんなにするのか。参ったな。
That was more than 10 years worth of salary back when I was on the force.
確かに間宮心臓の絵は綺麗だから飾ってはみたいんだけれどね。
そういや、今上野で個展が開かれているから値段。
でもそんなにお金ないわよ。
話を聞くだけならタダだよ。俺ももう一度あの個展には行こうと思っていたからな。
I gulped down the last of my coffee and got up.
ま、からかいがてら聞いてくるよ。
I took the train from Kichijoji to Ueno. Magnificent cherry blossoms adorned Ueno Park all the way through to the art museum at the end. It seemed they were still running the Shinzo Mamiya exhibit. The museum was practically deserted. Not surprising, considering the exhibit had been running for over 2 weeks. Most interested parties had likely since come and gone. Stella was all but dozing off in a chair in a corner of the museum.
やあ、ステラ。
The woman in question glanced quizzically up at me.
誰？
多分そういう反応が返って。
あ、レイジ？
Whoa, she actually remembered me.
ちょうどよかった。君に間宮心臓について聞きたかったんだよ。
心臓、今いない。
いや、それは分かっているから。彼の生い立ちやそういうのは知らないのかな。
No. Yeah, guess that's too much to expect from an art museum employee.
じゃあ絵の話をしよう。間宮氏の絵で一番安いのはどれかな。
5円のものがこちらにあります。
Stella suddenly shifted into fluent mode. Must have touched upon something work related.
5円。
ええ、ポストカードですけれど。
Stella pointed to a row of postcards on the desk by the entrance.
まあ、
That thing would look pathetic hung on a wall.
8枚組のセットもありますよ。
With that, Stella showed me a collection of postcard versions of the exhibit paintings.
おや、空の少女がないようだけれど。
空の少女については 間宮心臓の許可が下りなかったそうです。
おお、こだわりなのかな。
Was he too proud of it to let it be reproduced, maybe? It made sense, since even I couldn't deny that painting had some mystifying allure to it. But maybe that was just because it looked so much like her.
40円です。
Still, on the other hand, completely misinterpreting my interest.
まあいいか。
They'd make a decent souvenir for Kyoko, if nothing else. I stood before a girl in shell. The more I stared at it, the more it looked like Toko. Not just because of the aura exuded by the painting itself, but also the features of the girl. However, Stella had said it had been painted around the end of the war. Thus, there was no way Toko Kichiki could have been its model. Now that I knew she was adopted, finding said model seemed like a viable lead related to Toko's request. Oh. Yeah. Damn, my brain never fucking connected those dots. That makes a hell of a lot of sense, actually. Okay, so this woman who looks a lot like Toko, and we know that Toko's adopted, so maybe my brain's like, I don't see any connection there. Anyway, why are we at this museum? No, okay. I see where your head's at, Reiji, and I like it. It wouldn't be implausible for her to turn out to be none other than Toko's biological mother.
この絵がお気に召しましたかな。
Surprised, I turned toward the source of the voice to find a diminutive old man loitering by his lonesome.
君にはこの絵がどう見えているので
Damn,
し
you
ょう
look
か
like
ね。
you're about to die. Wait, hold up. Aren't you director, dude? Aren't you the director, dude? With your sharp little goatee and your slicked back gray hair. No, you're more white. Your hair is not near as long and yours like solid white. So I'm guessing you must be Mamiya.
どうとは。
I cocked my head, confused by the bizarre man's question.
観測者によって見るところは全く違うのですよ。画材に価値を見出すもの、モチーフに価値を見出すもの、値段にのみ。
そうですね。この少女でしょうか。この細やかさはまるで生きているかのようだ。
It was like Toko was right there in front of me, sealed within the canvas.
それもまた一つの捉え方でしょうな。そこに作者の意思は介在せず、作者が何を表現しようとしていたのかということは。
The old man continued expositing his philosophy.
それでも、当時の彼は何を思ってこの絵を描いたのでしょうか。
Twisted? I took another look at Girl in Shell. Could that mean there were people out there who interpreted it in that manner? More importantly, however, something else about that old man's comments had piqued my curiosity.
すみません。
Turned around, but the man was gone. He had been none other than Shinzo Mamiya himself. He talked like it had nothing to do with him, but it makes sense to interpret his musings as him reflecting back on when he painted it. A moment later, I saw Stella coming over.
なあ、ステラ。
はい。
Stella cocked her head.
間宮心臓が今いなく。
心臓、顔を知らない。人嫌いだから誰にも会わない。
Maybe I should look for that old man then.
ちょっとそのあたりを見回ることにするよ。
レイジ、
Stella stopped me as I was about to break into a dash.
なんだい。
館内は走らないでください。他のお客様のご迷惑になりますので。
わかったよ。
I searched all the way from the museum to Ueno Station, but ultimately found neither hide nor hair of the old man.
そう。
However, cursing wasn't going to solve anything. Finding out where Shinzo Mamiya lived would probably be the next best step, though. I had no idea I was going to do that. Maybe I could ask Uozumi. Police probably had the resources to look into that. As long as it had something to do with a serious case, anyway. Unfortunately, I doubt they'd act on anything as trifling as this.
いい加減にしてよ。
I saw Toko Mizuhara. She was squaring off with someone, yelling louder than I'd ever heard her before. Is that her mother? Unfortunately, I was too far away to make out their conversation. Toko dialed down her voice considerably. And yet, you could tell from the angular lines sculpting her face that they were still arguing.
だから母さんはもう私に関わらないで。
With that final heated outburst, Toko stormed off toward the station. I'ma stay out of it. That ain't my beef. This was a family matter, one I had no business sticking my nose into. The older woman sadly watched Toko walk away, then slumped her shoulders before entering the museum. I returned to my office in Shinjuku and picked up the phone. I had to ask Uozumi if he could look into where Shinzo Mamiya lived. Of course, whether he'd actually do it was still up in the air. Regardless, I dialed the MPD's very own CID and asked for Uozumi.
ちょっと野暮用を頼みたくてな。
I mulled over the postcards I bought from the museum as I began my whole spiel.
間宮心臓という画家の家に行きたい。
間宮何か事件でもあったのか。
いや、そういう。
事件でもねえのにおいそれと教えられるわけがないだろうが。
Yeah, I
い
figured.
やな。その画家に会ってみたいんだとよ。
何
Nani? Oh, Reiji, you sly bastard. Hook, line, and sinker.
京子が。いやそれでも一般人に教えるわけには。
教えてもらえれば京子は喜ぶだろうな。ありがとう、魚住くん。ってな。
気持ち悪い声色作るんじゃねえ。さく。今回だけだからな。
Sorry, man. That was total BS.
間宮心臓の自宅か。法屋だな。
Oh, yeah? Uozumi wasted no time digging up the answer.
ほうや
Oh, yeah?
大場女学院の近くか。
いや、あそこは田無の方に出っ張ったところにあるだろう。間宮邸は池袋線の法屋駅よりも北にある。詳しい住所は。
Okay. The school's closest to Danashi, the Mami say is north of the Hoya station. Okay, so Girls Academy, technically here in Hoya. But you're telling me that this stays somewhere up here. But the fact that he's close to here is kind of interesting. Okay. I wrote down the address Uozumi gave me.
ありがとうよ。まあそのうち京子にも伝えておくわ。
お、よろしく頼むぞ。
Poor Uozumi, love struck as ever. I went to Ikebukuro and took the Seibu line to Hoya Station. Afterward, I navigated the streets until I found what seemed to be the place. I was located amidst a grove of trees near an up-and-coming residential district. A few steps was all it took to make me think I'd gotten lost in some dense jungle. This place was a forest. No, more like a sea of trees. Though I knew I was still in the city, my sense of direction started to malfunction. The paths weren't even paved, and the weeds were so dense that it was impossible to make out any tire tracks. Eventually, though, my meandering led me to a dilapidated manor, pregnant with the stench of rotten wood. Whoa, I don't like this music. Supposedly Shinzo Mamiya lived here, yet it felt like the place was an ancient ruin that had been deserted for centuries. Regardless, I approached the door and knocked on it to be safe.
反応なしか。
Didn't think Uozumi had fed me a false address, though. Whatever the case, Shinzo Mamiya clearly wasn't there. Now what? Now we break in! I mean, yeah, that's the answer. We gotta look around a little more, I guess. Decided to explore a little more. First order of business was inspecting the house more closely. It turned out all the windows were boarded up from the inside. No wonder it looked so dark. I couldn't find even a single crack to peer through. The guy was either methodical or delusional. There are no signs that the front porch had been cleaned either. However, there were footprints here and there. They clearly belonged to multiple people, though I couldn't tell exactly how many steps there were. Most of them came from individuals with smaller feet than me, at least. Women. Seemed the place wasn't so abandoned after all. I turned the doorknob carefully so as to not make a sound, but the door was locked. Was anyone actually home? Still, it did say Shinzo Mamiya wasn't a people person. In that case, maybe he was just ignoring me. Eventually, I realized I'd just have to give this another shot coming some other time. The city was dyed vermilion by the time I returned to Kichijoji on a bus. Okay, where to? Oh, how about we swing by Moonworld? Why not? I arrived at Moonworld. However,
閉まっているのか。
there was a sign saying as much hanging from the door. Oh well, guess I'll have to come back another day. Okay. Why did the game tell me to go there? Okay, let's go visit the coroner then. Maybe we'll get our schmack wet, I don't know. I arrived at the Takusho Clinic. The sign on the door read, "Checkup in progress." Well, color me surprised. You know, this place got living patients. I was tempted to see who'd be crazy enough to drop in, but decided against it, so didn't want to be a bother.
他のところへ行くか。なあ、ゆかり。
Okay. So the guy just sent me places where no one was at. It's like, yeah, go to Moonworld, no one's there. Also go to the clinic. Yo, no one's there. Question came to mind as Yukari was relaxing in the living room after dinner.
何ですか兄さん。
マミや心臓について何か知っていることはないか。
It's been on my mind since this afternoon. I wasn't getting anywhere on my own, so I figured my artistically inclined sister was as good a place to start as any.
マミや心臓。
Yukari stroked her chin as she mulled over her thoughts. I arranged the postcards I'd bought from the museum atop the table. Their brushwork must have been exquisite, but unfortunately I lacked the eye for such aesthetics.
そうですね。私も詳しいことはわかりません。ですが、教頭先生ならば何か知っているかもしれませんね。
佐伯教頭が？ああ、確か美術部の顧問でもあったか。
ええ、それに教頭先生は昔絵描きでもあったらしいですから。
何かそういった話をしていたことはあるか？
いえ、聞いたことはありませんね。
そうか。
Sound like it'd be worth paying him a visit. Though maybe it'd be prudent to give the Mamiya Manor another look-see first.
That
was the first thing I heard upon waking up. Hell yeah.
今何時だ
8時を過ぎていますよ。今日は天気もいいし、お布団を干したいので早く起きてください。
分かったよ。
I got dressed and lumbered into the living room, resisting the urge to grumble about how I was still tired. The air was alive with the aroma of mouth-watering miso soup from the kitchen. That was all it took to obliterate all traces of slumber from my mind. Pathetic, I know.
今準備しますね。
You got to race back to the kitchen. I took out a cigarette and lit it.
客か
Odd. No one ever visited this early. I opened the door to find a modern-day giant on my doorstep.
なんだよ。
なんだとはなんだ。失礼なやつだな。
失礼はお前だ。これから飯を食おうっていうのにのこのこ来やがって。
He's gonna be like, so what Kyoko think about Mamiya-san, huh? How'd you feel about it?
兄さん、そういう言い方はないと思いますよ。
He kinda came over to join the fun.
おうゆかりちゃん、おはようさん。
おはようございます、大住さん。よろしければ朝食もご一緒にいかがですか？
それじゃせっかくだからいただくとするか。
少しは遠慮しろよ。
I couldn't recall the last time I'd had a meal this surreal.
うまいな。朝飯を抜いてきてよかった。
で、お前は何をしにわざわざ来たんだ？
あまりこの場では話したくない内容だぞ。
なるほど。
Yeah, murder wasn't exactly the most appetizing conversation fodder.
前のとは関係ないんだろう。
ああ。
I figured, well, with Kasaka being dead and all.
またバラバラだがな。
Ozumi whispered that to me as he cut up a slice of fish.
嫌な世の中だな。
何のお話ですか？
お前は聞かない方がいい話。
They didn't want this meal Yukari slaved over going to waste by ruining everyone's appetite after all.
まあそうだな。まだ何も分かっちゃいない話だ。
そうですか。お気をつけてくださいね。
お。
Oh. For some reason, Ozumi and I ended up leaving the house together.
なんだレイジ。
ああ、少々早いが、ちょっと調べたいことがあってな。
It was possible Shinzo Mamiya would still be home in the morning after all.
さっきの件な、草加野とは無関係だろうが、よく似ている。
Ozumi abruptly broached the topic.
似ている？
まだ身元も分かっちゃいないが、おそらく若い女だ。また何かあったら頼むかもしれん。
そうか。それまでには暇を作っておくことにするよ。
ああ、頼む。
And with that, Ozumi departed in the direction of the station. So we've got yet another one on our hands, huh? Doesn't sound like Ozumi has much to go on, though. There are far too many blanks at the moment to say anything for sure, it seemed. For now, the least I could do was find a way to warn Yukari and Toko without alarming them. I took the bus to Hoya and ventured out to Shinzo Mamiya's manor. My ears rang from the same deafening silence as the day before. I crouched down at the doorway and examined the footprints, but none of them seemed recent. Apparently nothing had changed since my prior visit. Maybe the house really was unoccupied. Shinzo Mamiya could have simply left this place occupied on paper, only to actually reside in a local hotel or something. Even if he wasn't, I couldn't imagine he'd be capable of living here. Whatever the case, further investigation into this recluse artist's whereabouts was looking quite tricky. Would have been nice if I could have gotten the police's help, but that wouldn't be happening without a very good reason.
靴が泥だらけだ。こんなところに家を作るなっての、まったく。
Wait, I know that voice. Probably hid behind the house.
ああ、もう邪魔。なんでこんな季節なのにこんなに草が生い茂ってるんだよ。
And who should show up bitching and moaning but none other than Yorutsuki Mori?
いくら偏屈なじいさんだからって呼び出せばいいじゃないか。ったく。
Yorutsuki walked up to the front door and knocked.
もしもーし、間宮さん、無担当の森ですけど。
He waited for a while but got no answer whatsoever.
いないんすか？ああ、もうこないだ変な探偵に絡まれてからこっち。
変な探偵で悪かったな。
Took that as my cue to emerge from my hiding spot.
時坂さん？
Yorutsuki was so startled that he almost fell flat on his ass.
なぜここにいるんだ？
それはこっちのセリフっすよ。俺は雑誌取材で来たんすよ。
Couldn't have asked for better timing.
なんすか？
どうやらここに間宮新蔵氏はいないようなんだ。
いや、それは確かにしなきゃいけないことっすけど。
俺も探しているからさ。
そうっすか。じゃあ今から聞きに行きますか？
今から？
ここまで車で来たっすからね。編集部まですぐっすよ。
おう、そうだな。
じゃあ行きましょうか。
I followed Yorutsuki back into the woods. Just a couple of guys being dudes. Yorutsuki and I made a pit stop in the park after paying his editing department a visit in Renault.
ついてないっすよね。
It almost looked like Yorutsuki had been told his favorite restaurant but had closed. His bosses called off the interview once he told them Shinzo Mamiya wasn't home.
他の作家さんの取材だったら意味ないんすよね。
まあそう気を落とすなよ。
俺はいいんすよ。時坂さんのお役に立てなかったことが。
それこそ気にしない方がいいぞ。俺は君に随分と迷惑をかけてしまったからね。
Especially considering I did once toy with the idea he killed Yui Nishizono and all.
いえ、いいんすよ。俺もいろいろといい経験になりました。
Yorutsuki's face grew grim.
時坂さん。
なんだい？
あの時、俺一つだけ嘘をついていたんです。
嘘？
はい。俺やっぱり彼女のこと好きだったんだと思います。
I nearly didn't catch that.
今だから言えることなのかもしれません。でもそれでも俺が何か気づいてやれていたんだったら。
I silently listened to his monologue.
一緒にいた時間は短かったからあまり彼女のことを知ることはできなかったけれど。
Yorutsuki hung his head.
後になって家庭のことを聞いて彼女がうまく笑えなかった理由も。
そうか。
I heard a sniffle from Yorutsuki. And so I simply stood there in silence, waiting for him to calm down. Everyone grieves when they lose loved ones, especially those they were smitten over. I myself was in the same boat once upon a time.
あまり自分を責めてはいけないよ。
ですが
そうしないと。
They want him to end up going down the same thorny road that ensnared me 6 long years back. It was with that thought I took the photo of Yui Nishizono out of my notebook.
君が撮った写真だ。見てごらん。
I wouldn't say broad, but I mean there's a
彼
smile
女
there.
はこんなにいい
Give me that
表
much.
情で笑ってるじゃないか。
Yorutsuki accepted the photo from me. Then he simply stared at Yui in silence.
少なくとも君といた時は笑えていたんじゃないかな。
そうですよね。
Yorutsuki nodded, eyes still glued to the photo. I said farewell to Yorotsuki and trotted over to Kichijoji Station. Where to? Oh, I don't know. Let's go to the Shinjuku Station. Why not? I disembarked from the train at Shinjuku Station and was strolling over to the office when...
時坂先生。
I'm...
おや佐藤さんじゃないか。どうしたんだいこんなところで。
部活の練習で出てきたんです。もう終わって帰るところですけれど。
なるほど。そうだ、ちょうどよかった。ちょっと事務所まで来てもらっても構わないかな。
何の用事ですか？
君に渡したいものがあるんだ。
ゆいの。
I am nodded. Wouldn't do me any good to keep holding on to it after all.
では行こうか。
お邪魔します。
I am about before stepping into my office.
そこに座って待っていてくれ。
I'd left the stuff forensics returned on my desk, if memory served me right. Shuffled through the stacks of envelopes and papers until I found the book. The blood had been cleaned off, but I put the dust jacket on anyway before handing it to Ayamo.
彼女が持っていたネアニスの卵という本だ。
Ayamo said nothing. Instead, she simply stared at the book.
あまりいい境遇にあった本とは言えないが。
はい。ありがとうございます。
She clutched the book dearly to her chest and bowed her head. Well, that was nice. Oh, let's swing by Moonworld. Let's see how the homies are doing. You have to stop blaming yourself, huh? Paused in front of Moonworld and mused over what I told Yorotsuki. I knew better than anyone that constantly blaming yourself never did any good. Hell, I never would have gotten back on my feet without the support of the people in my life. And that just went to show how painful it was to lose a loved one.
あら、時坂くん。
Kyoko was all by herself behind the counter.
一人か。
ええ、初音ちゃんはお休み。
そうか。
残念？
そんなんじゃないよ。
あら、元気なさそうに見えたわよ。
それこそ。
Pulled out a cigarette and planted it between my lips. A second later, I lit it and sighed out some fumes.
今日はお酒に。
Oh shit, I didn't even press enter that time. Seemed Kyoko had realized I wasn't my normal self.
そうだな。
ウイスキーでいいかしら。
Ooh. I watched her turn around and pour some ice into a glass as I dragged on my cigarette. Kyoko had been instrumental on my road to recovery. She was always there to lend a hand, just like right now. The only difference was that I wasn't positively wallowing in grief like I had been back then.
はい、どうぞ。
Kyoko set 2 amber glasses atop the counter.
二つ？
私も付き合うわよ。
She picked up one of the glasses, ice clinking within.
まだ仕事中だろ。
いいのよ。今の時坂くんに一人酒は合わないでしょ。
Kyoko walked out from behind the counter and took the seat right next to me.
ユキコのことでしょ。
よくわかったな。
時坂くんがお店に来て何も頼まないときは大抵何かに悩んでいるもの。
すでに終わったことだから本来なら悩む必要もないんだがな。
それだけユキコのことを思い続けているということでしょ。
Maybe she had a point. It seemed I was still stuck in the same place as ever. Would I ever manage to put it behind me? I had to at least try, didn't I?
なんだか焼けちゃうわ。
Kyoko took a little sip out of her glass.
私だって忘れちゃいないけど、もう随分と昔のことだから。
それでも俺たちは。
そうよ。先に行ってしまった人たちの分も精一杯生きていかないと。
Kyoko suddenly careened over.
おい。
Frantically grabbed her so she wouldn't fall.
あら、酔っちゃったのかしら。
Off of a couple sips of whiskey? Damn, girl, what kind of lightweight is you?
それほど飲んでないだろうお前。
She hadn't even finished her whiskey.
疲れているんじゃないのか。
かもしれないわね。このところ働き詰めだったから。
Kyoko sighed after splaying herself out across the counter.
少しは休んだらどうだ。
I checked her forehead just to be safe, but it didn't seem like she had much of a fever.
そうね。時坂くん、悪いけれどお店閉めてくれる？
There weren't any other customers around. Meaning this was as good a time as any to close up. I went outside and flipped the sign. Though there weren't many people in the vicinity, that changed once rush hour hit. I flipped the sign out front and went back in.
閉めておいたぞ。京子
Called out to Kyoko but received no answer. She was still splayed out across the counter.
大丈夫か
Seems she'd already fallen asleep. Oh boy. Couldn't very well just leave her now.
京子
Gave her a little tap on the cheek to wake her up. Her eyes opened ever so slightly.
寝るんだったらきちんと布団で眠った方がいいぞ。
そうね。
I don't know what you're talking about. That counter looked so comfy. Kyoko staggered to her feet. I was on tenterhooks just watching.
仕方ないな。
I crouched down and wrapped my arm around her shoulders.
歩けるか
Kyoko and I slowly made our way over to her bedroom. Oh. Once there, I put her to
じゃ
bed.
あもういいな。
待って。
Kyoko grabbed me right as I turned to leave.
京子
もう少しここにいて。
どうしたお前らしくないな。
時坂君が思う。
Kyoko interrupted me before I could finish.
私はそんなに強くないわよ。
Her voice was choked with sobs.
ずっと寂しいのよ。
京子
Tears welled up in her eyes.
少しくらい私のことを見てくれたっていいじゃない。
俺だって弱い人間だ。
And that was why I knew I wouldn't be able to refuse
京
her.
子俺は弱くてちっぽけな人間だ。育児もない。だからここで答えてしまったら
大丈夫よ。私が好きな時坂君はどんな時にでも。
Kyoko's fingers snaked around my arm.
京子
だから私を
Oh. Wow. Well, Osmi's not gonna like that one. All this talk about like Osmi's so love stricken with her, they just like they happen to have a few drinks. Like we should bone. Like yeah. Honestly, I kind of like the pairing. You know, they both have that mutual trauma of like losing that loved one, and then like finding solace in each other. I like that. I like that setup. So honestly, I'm kind of okay with this one. I'm pretty good with this one. I like it. Eventually, I realized it was dark out. The sun having set. Who knows how long ago.
ねえ時坂君
Kyoko called out to me after putting her clothes back on.
私のこと可愛いって言っ
何のことだ
Put a cigarette between my lips to dodge the question.
た。ここでタバコはダメよ。
いいだろう別に。
ダメ。どうしても吸いたいんだったら
何を
もういいわよ。
Kyoko pouted, her cheeks inflating. This is exactly what I found so adorable about her. Not that I'd ever admit it, of course. Just fucking say it, asshole. She deserves it. I get it, you're being like cheeky with each other. Like, yeah, it's what? Adorable? I would never say that. Like, let homegirl have one compliment that's not made in, the heat of the moment, as it were. Homegirl deserves at least a small compliment, right? Come on. Let's give homegirl some compliments here, right? Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who wants to give her a compliment. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. But, all that being said, that is the wrong button, as per usual. Anyway, I'm going to save here. And wrap it up here for today. I like it. I'm interested to see... I'm interested to see where we go from here. Because I legitimately thought that the whole Kusaka murders were the end of it. That's oh my god, can I stop stuttering? Like when we got that game over screen, I thought that was like legit like the end. I was like, that seems like a good spot to wrap it up. Like all good. I hit the mic. Oops. But no, I felt like a good spot to wrap it all up. I guess technically it wouldn't, because like this whole story is going now. Like we gotta help Toko find herself, as it were. So I guess that never really got wrapped up with that ending, obviously. So maybe it's not the best ending, but I don't know. I felt like that's where everything was going to come to a close. We'd find the killer and somehow it would connect back to Toko, which clearly there's more to it. Clearly we're not done here. There's still plenty more. Like, in game right now it says it's March 31st, and this guide goes all the way down to what's that say? April 18th for ending 3 anyway. Ending 1's on April 13th, ending 2 is on April 16th, and ending 3 is on April 18th. So like we got damn near 3 weeks of in-game shit we still gotta see yet, which is wild. I honestly wasn't expecting there to be this much to it. But yeah, like I said, very interested to see what comes next. Also very worried to see what comes next, because I mentioned when I got that game over screen that I had been spoiled on the fact that something can happen to our good pal Tojiko, and knowing that I'm only about like halfway through this essentially is worrying, because that's plenty of time for stuff to happen to my good pal Tojiko. God knows I don't want that to happen. But yeah, we'll see. But like I said, I'm going to end this recording session here for today. So it's either going to be a quick transition or a new video. But regardless, I'll see y'all in the next one. But for now, peace.